Hello, everybody, and welcome to another amazing edition of the Super Sellout Podcast!
Episode 2!
Featuring me, Victor L. Jacko, and my quality friend, Gran J.
That's me.
And we are here to talk about all kinds of world news trending topics that you care a lot about.
Because how else are we going to get discovered if we're not doing trending topics that show up in the Google search results, right?
And how are we going to sell out if no one's listening?
Exactly. So this is just step one to a massive, three-step plan to selling out.
It's just simple math. Simple math, really. More viewers, more dollars.
Exactly. So, in today's, we got a couple of different, trending topics to talk about. So, we're going to start off with some world news. So, first of all, big news recently, Hong Kong extradition bill. So, I don't know how much of this you've heard about, Jack, but there's been some massive protests in Hong Kong about their recent extradition bill that they've been trying to put through. You hear anything about it?
I saw the protests.
Okay, so basically, the summary is this. So extradition, for those of you guys that don't know much about international law, means that if someone commits a crime in a different country, so if a person commits a crime in a country and they travel to a different country, they can't be prosecuted in that different country, right? Now, if that country has what's called an extradition agreement, it means that that country, they can capture that person and then send it back to the country where they committed the crime to face punishment there or face trial there, right?
Which I'm sure that country would want to do anyway.
Yeah, but sometimes if those countries don't have extradition agreements or they don't have partnerships, then they won't send people back, right? So it's kind of like how that guy that leaked Edward Snowden, you know how he leaked all that CIA NSA shit and then he went over to Russia? It's because they don't have extradition there, right? So you can commit a crime, then escape the country, and if the other country doesn't have an agreement, they can't just send you back to get prosecuted, right? So Hong Kong is trying to put through what's a Hong Kong extradition bill. So basically the general gist of it is that Hong Kong currently has some extradition laws, some extradition agreements. But with what this bill is trying to say is that if in certain specific instances, if Hong Kong doesn't have a specific extradition agreement with a particular nation, under certain classifications of crimes, a person can be extradited to that country, even if no formal extradition agreement exists, right? So the reason why this originally occurred is because apparently some guy murdered his girlfriend or murdered a woman in Taiwan, and then he went over to Hong Kong. But since Taiwan and Hong Kong don't have a formal extradition agreement, even though people want that guy to be prosecuted, they can't legally extradite him back to Taiwan to face his prosecution, right? Now, this generally isn't an issue, but the big issue, though, is that the politics of Hong Kong is very different to the politics to China, right? So the Chinese government is super control its citizens and super censorship, hardcore censorship, man. Probably even worse than Russia. And Hong Kong is because it was previously a part of the English, the UK colonies. It's under a rule of democracy. So Hong Kong is technically under the territory of China, but it's got a completely separate legal system. But that being said, its politics are great. So Hong Kong's politics are always are always seen in view of China, even though that they're separate countries. So people in Hong Kong really dislike how much control that China has over its own citizens' politics. And so people think that if this extradition bill exists, then all of a sudden China's going to just start pulling people out of Hong Kong to put them into their secret police for political discourse. So yeah, that's a general gist of it, man.
Is that why it's the largest protest I've ever seen down a street in Hong Kong?
Yeah, man. Dude, did you see that street? It was just massively packed, man.
It was about 17 times the size of any women's march I've ever seen.
Yeah, man. Those Asians get shit done. But yeah, man. It's actually So maybe it's not fully warranted, but people are protesting in like a worst case scenario type situation. So yeah, because like China is like everyone knows China like is very like controlling and very censorship like pro censorship on its politics. So yeah, it's pretty much it's you're actually physically unsafe to be anti-government or anti like politics in the media in China. So yeah, and there's been like a lot of stories of people just being like pulled out of Hong Kong, like secretly pulled out of Hong Kong for being like journalists and shit, and being beaten up, murdered, being thrown into jail, and so on. A lot of shit happens like underneath the table that people don't know about, and so people are like kind of worried about what sort of bullshit can go down if this bill kind of gets pushed through.
Yeah, we were watching that documentary the other day, like we were just sitting on the couch, just chilling out, and like that. There was that guy with the mask on, and he was doing these like artsy protests against the Chinese government, and he wouldn't show his face on camera until the very end. He did, and they were talking about like the plastic bag guy, and so he'd make all this art around the plastic bag guy and put it around the streets of China. I don't know. I just thought that was something I'd chuck in there. Do you remember that,
Man.
or were we?
Well, like yeah, like I remember that documentary. Yeah, it actually occurred on what? So it was like June 6th or some shit, which is like the anniversary of the Tiananmen Square massacre. But yeah, so basically, yeah, so like he was super secretive about his identity because look, literally people found out his identity, and then like apparently his family in China got fucked, man. Like your family could be living their lives honestly in China, but because your son or your child like just starts doing anti government protests or anti-government protests or writes things that are controversial to the current government or even historical past shit, man, your family in China can like get screwed, like get punished. Yeah, man. And
which is
like
pretty fucked up.
It is pretty fucked up, man. Like if you compare it to shit that happens like in the West, like look, despite like this like disregarding your politics, if you look at all the shit that Trump cops in the like US politics, at least no matter what you say, like you don't get just like fucking taken in by secret police and just like fucking murdered, right? Yeah. People don't realize how good the political system or the legal system, I guess, in like even America is, because yeah, no matter what you say, you're fine, right? Like you might get hate on social media, but that's nowhere near as bad as the shit that would happen to you if you did that same shit in China or in Russia, man. Like yeah, like because like you like we've all heard like stories of shit that happens in those regions, right? Like I remember like watching a video by John Oliver, and he was talking about, oh yeah, you know, like Putin was pretty much unopposed for all his elections, and one of the elections he had an opponent, but then that opponent mysteriously disappeared. What a surprise, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's discussion about how like Putin's probably going to be in power for literally the rest of his life, and there's also a rumor that Vlad Putin might actually be the richest man on the planet because he's just like embezzling so much money. But the issue is that if he ever stops becoming the president, he'll lose all that money, and he'll probably even get, you know, knocked off his block somewhere along the way. So for his own life, he has to keep all of that power, and in turn, he just has shitloads of wealth. That's what I hear about Putin anyway, but
yeah,
what do I know?
Like good old communism. It's so weird, eh? Like communism, like all the resources and the work is all for the people, yet it's like all the wealth is really just stacked up for individuals. Yet democracy, it's all about the 1%, right? But we have wealth so spread apart, man. It's such an oxymoron. Like capitalism versus communism and how the wealth ended up being distributed, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happened in communism, but it takes like one one bad like political leader in a communist system, and the whole thing just like falls apart, like real like way worse than a capitalist kind of like society would.
Yeah, man. Like, is there any example of like a good communist leader or good communist like government? Because it seems like every communist government we've seen is either corrupt or just like shits the bed like Venezuela or some shit.
I can't think of. I couldn't tell you any.
Yeah, man. Um, but yeah, so like massive protests in Hong Kong, whole bunch of shit going down. And yeah, and so like their leader of the house is a woman. Ooh, shit, gender equality, diversity. But yeah, people are like pretty mad at her and they want her to resign, man. Imagine like trying to pass one bill and it's just so unpopular that people want you to resign.
Yeah. I don't know, like if you're I guess like if you're in a democratic society, even if it's a good idea to do something, if it's a very unpopular thing with the public for you to do, then you just shouldn't do it, right? Like that's the point of a democracy.
Yeah, true. But it's like, all right, so like even in Australian politics, right? It's like, has there ever been like a politician that's implemented a bill or implemented a law that's just like so unanimously fucked up to a point where just like people want him to leave office, right? Which I guess it's kind of hard to say recently because like all our recent prime ministers just like have been rotating in and out.
Well, if anyone out there cares about Australian politics, Julia Gillard implemented a little something. This is the first female prime minister we've ever had after she took Kevin Rudd's position. This is a Labor government, by the way. She did a re-election. She said, I want to do this fairly. I know I took his job, but we're going to send you all back to the poll. We're going to send you all back to vote again, because I think that's the fair thing to do, because no one actually voted for me. Which, okay, yeah, cool. That's very respectable. She won the vote. She continued to be the prime minister. Then she said to everyone, this is like the one promise that she broke, the only one, by the way, just about, compared to subsequent Liberal governments, which like in their first 30 days broke like 50 promises during their campaign. She said there would be no carbon tax, which everyone was, yay, hooray, because the word tax is scary. We don't want tax. Which was not a tax on like you or me. Like the carbon tax barely affected us. It was a tax on big business. And like coal mining companies and shit like that. Which most of them are like tax evading anyway for the most part. They set up their offshore accounts and whatever else. But because she implemented the carbon tax, which I'm pretty sure she did only because she would have lost the sway of the House because it was a hung parliament. Although she had the majority, she only had total majority because of which way the Greens or the Independents swung. So for the Independents to keep supporting the Labour Party and for her to keep House majority, she needed to put the carbon tax in. And she got the biggest backlash. She got probably the biggest backlash ever. And then Labour had a pretty depressing defeat in the next election, putting good old-fashioned Tony Abbott in power, the man who ate an onion on live television, a raw onion.
The budgie smuggler.
The budgie smuggler. The hero nobody wanted.
It's kind of messed up because like I'm like I don't think having policies to control particular emissions and pollution is a terrible idea. But the thing is that like if you implement laws like that, sometimes they might actually be embetterment for society. But like people get like pretty pissed off, and like sometimes you can't really help it because
the funny
like
thing about it though is that like I see statistics and it's somewhere up there like 70% of people want the government to take action against climate change. But the current party are like, oh, we're going to take direct action. This is what they say, but they're not actually doing anything. In fact, what they're doing is giving money back to like big business companies. Like they're giving them lots of kickbacks and tax cuts and things like that. So they're not actually taking action against climate change. You could argue they're making it worse. But 70% of Australians want action against climate change, and we're not doing that. I'll throw this in there as well. The gay marriage thing. You know how we like got a fucking letter vote?
Yeah. The plebiscite.
The plebiscite. Yeah. The government already knew that something like 60 to 80% of Australians, I think it was closer to 80% of Australians were cool with gay marriage. They were like, yeah, just put it in, we don't care. And
so to give people context for what happened here. So in regards to the gay marriage plebiscite, okay, you run it off, man.
Sorry, I don't know what you were going to say.
No, it's just like give people context. So basically what happened was people were like pro gay marriage, right? So before the government like did anything in terms of any bills or whatever, they literally did a nationwide survey of are people pro like
just
marriage.
A gigantic like waste of money and time.
Apparently it costs like millions of dollars to do as well, man.
Yes. It was something like I can't remember, it was something like might have been like $500 million or something, like off the top of my head. How much? No, I'm not going to Google it.
Yeah, it was like stupidly expensive to get done.
Yeah.
And the results are like, I don't remember those results. What were the results?
I love looking down like Facebook and like seeing like what old baby boomers comment in like these like big fucking like Facebook posts on big pages. And it's always shit like, it's time for you vocal minority fucks that want those fags to get married. Finally get shown that you're all gay, you're all shit or something. And then it was like total whitewash. Like everyone was like, yeah, just do it. And like even if you don't like think the gays should get married, like it's better for society and the economy in that more people are going to be spending shitloads of money on extravagant weddings. You know, like there's going to be more people like spending money on like venues to hold these functions and presents and all kinds of shit. Like it's all round a positive.
Stimulating the economy.
Except that you just have to look at a couple of gays hold hands. Like, is that the big issue?
Ooh, cooties.
Yeah. So that's how I feel about it anyway. Like I voted yes, but like I just felt like, dude, this is it was such a fucking waste of time.
I don't like, to be honest, I don't even remember receiving a letter for that shit. I don't think I updated my my polling I don't think I updated my polling address to that shit anyways. But yeah, okay. Moving on to even more politics, man. So
yeah, this is a very political podcast. Welcome to the politically incorrect podcast.
Yeah, the unfriendly Geordies. Yeah, so next thing that's actually been like trending up on the internet. So there's this kid called Kashuv. So what happened? So this kid is a kid that was at the school during the time of the Parkland shooting. So I don't know how many of you guys actually remember that shooting in particular, because it seems like there's so many school shootings in America in general. But so this is a shooting that occurred in February 2018, so like a little bit over a year ago. So a kid came in with semi-automatic or automatic AR-15 or some shit, and he killed 17 people and injured 17 people in a school. And this kid, Kyle Kashuv, he was a student at that school. he wasn't in the building that got shot at, but some of you guys might remember after that shooting, a whole bunch of kids got really into politics and was like they were like going to all these debates and they were seeing like the president of the White House and all that sort of shit about like gun control. So this was one kid that was on the other side. So on the other side in terms of he's more of a conservative. So he's like he's pro Second Amendment. So he's more like instead of like gun control, because apparently it doesn't work. What should happen is that supposedly there should be people in every school who are trained in firearms who can fight off or at least present a threat in a school if there is a school shooting, to at least deter shooters from like entering schools, right? So that was his like political message, and he's security. Like not only like not necessarily armed security, but also certain teachers who wish to take firearm training, they could have concealed carry inside schools, so that if there is a kid in the school, like teachers aren't completely just fucking defenseless. So that was like his idea, and he got a lot of traction, and he was like a very good vocal speaker and so on. But so like he went through his like political circuit, and he was doing quite well. Like people had a lot of respect for the kid. But what happened recently? So recently, he was early in the year. He was accepted to enter Harvard. He was accepted into Harvard upon graduation. So he was accepted. But recently, like literally just like a couple of days ago, apparently there was a Google Doc that he had while he was in high school, where apparently in that Google Doc he used some racial slurs, such as the N-word in big bold ass writing like multiple times. And this was just like an internal Google Doc between him and a couple of friends, right? Apparently that document was leaked to Harvard, and Harvard rejected his Harvard acceptance. So he literally got fucking kicked out. Well, not kicked out of Harvard, but he got rejected from entering Harvard because someone like leaked his document online to Harvard, right? So like people are really pissed off, and like and so like recently he's been like just going through the news saying saying that was a long time ago, because it happened like 3 months before the shooting, so it would have happened in 2016. So that would have been like 2 years ago, basically, right? So he's like, I was a different kid back then. You know, everyone.
He was in high school back then.
He was 16, man.
Yeah,
he was 16, right? And he's like, like part of it was in jest because it was like a closed document between a couple of people. But also, he said he's grown. He knows that like people do dumb things, and it's not reflective of his personal attitudes towards people of color and other people in general. And despite like all the things that he said, and he even like made some apologies back then as well. But so he sent like a whole bunch of like documents and like apology letters to Harvard's acceptance office, and like Harvard's admission office, and Harvard's like diversity office. And they're like, like thank you for your further information and all that, blah blah blah. But at this stage, we will stand by our decision not to rescind your offer of acceptance at Harvard. So basically, like people are like really up in arms right now that like you can, if you have a conservative or right side like political message, if people don't want to debate you, or if people don't want to like discuss with you, they will literally sabotage your life, which is like pretty fucked up. And that's like what everyone like. That's what a whole bunch of people are like really discussing and debating right now, man. And this seems to be something that happens quite a lot to conservative people. So you got any thoughts about this?
Like I could sort of understand that like Harvard would want to protect their image. They wouldn't want someone who is quote unquote a racist coming into their campus and using their resources and things like that. That's not something that any kind of business would want tacked onto them, or even just a university. Having said that, I think that really like would suck for the kid big time. I mean, to think that like something you said in a private conversation when you were a dickhead teenager and you were just like fucking around. I mean, Like I know people who used to like casually drop N bombs in high school just because they thought it was edgy and not because they were actually like genuine racists or anything like that. I mean, this was the time in our lives where people used to progressively shout penis in the classroom louder and louder, just to annoy the teacher, and like get a rise out of him. So like I think that's really bullshit for him. I don't know if it's a genuine attack against his politics in particular. It's possible that when Harvard were looking over his, like, I'm going to call it portfolio for now, and they're looking over his political activism, and they're like, oh, this isn't really the type of guy that we want representing us, but then at the same time, we can't just turn someone down because of his politics. It's possible that the N-bomb thing was just enough for them to go, this is a good enough reason for us not to let this person into our school. Like, that's possible. I don't know if that's actually their intention there. Because it does seem like, mainly on social media and in some news networks, right, people who are more supportive of right-wing politics do get discriminated against quite a bit.
Yeah, man. Like I'm not sure, like whether it was a tipping point, but I think to some extent, like Harvard is one of those universities or colleges that has no shortage of applicants, right? So there's a shit ton of people that want to get into Harvard, right? And like if if they don't like accept this kid, there are probably like half a dozen other kids like that have equally as good scores and like have equally as good like co-curricular activities and so on, right? But they just don't have this like one little thing that's very publicly attached to them. So it's kind of like, even though in an objective sense, they probably don't care about his character enough to use this as a deciding factor. But the fact that it's like so public right now is probably the reason why they rejected him. Because it's like, oh yeah, like we might internally we might not care that he said this because he's a kid and he's dumb and we all know that, right? Yeah. But the fact that this is in like the public sphere means that if we don't reject him, people are gonna come to us with fucking questions, and then we have to deal with this bullshit, and then people are gonna twist our words, and then all of a sudden we look like we're like accepting like white supremacists and shit, right?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, it's just about protecting their image.
Yeah, man. Like too many like large businesses and corporations and shit, they like don't make decisions based upon like the individual circumstances, but they look at all these bullshit optics around that like the individual like legitimately can't control, right? So this kid can't, like, it was completely out of his hands after that document was leaked and those screenshots leaked. He couldn't do anything. Like literally, it was like how like his fate was like entirely determined upon like the whole leverage that all the media like controls, right? So yeah, basically, if they accepted him, like the media was just like gone ham, gone all in on Harvard, and Harvard would have been fun.
Even if we just want to think about like the way media treats like YouTube, I know it's like there's a very different motive for how the media would treat YouTube, mainly in that they like are intimidated by the platform because there are more active viewers on YouTube than there are on television now. But just if you think about how the way like the first adpocalypse went down, there was something really bad happened on YouTube. So then all these media companies, journalists, would take those comments, go to the advertisers that advertise their product on YouTube and say, your ad played before this video where this bad thing happened. What do you have to say about this? And it was like hundreds of journalists going out harassing all these different companies that were advertising on YouTube. How does this make you feel? How does this make you feel that you're supporting this this type of content that this is where your ads are coming up from. As if like anyone gives a shit if a Coke ad comes up before a fucking PewDiePie video, or like a fucking Markiplier playing fucking Five Nights at Freddy's. Like as if anyone's gonna look at a Coke ad and then see the video and go, oh yeah, I see Coke really care about Five Nights at Freddy's and fucking horror reaction videos and shit like that. But Coke are just like, oh, well, got to protect my image. And they just pull the ads. And so all these different companies just start pulling their ads off YouTube. And then suddenly no one on YouTube's making money anymore. And all these media companies are writing all these articles about what's happening. Because they caused this big fucking stir and everyone's freaking out. Now suddenly their articles are getting clicks. Now suddenly people are reading their shit content and their shit journalism. I mean, that's the fucking dog eat dog industry that old media's become now.
Like, it's really messed up that, like, politics is supposed to be about how we come to a better outcome, like, come to a decision on how to create a better world, a better outcome for people and its inhabitants, right? But, like, right now, politics is just used as a, like, bludgeoning tool to, like, attack the people that you don't like. So instead of, like, coming to, like, try to solve a problem of, oh yeah, how do we stop school shootings, or how do we stop climate change, or how do we stop, like, jobs going offshores and shit, right? Instead of, like, trying to solve a problem, they're just like, oh yeah, if you don't agree with our, like, solution, fuck you. We'll, like, we will, like, take your house, we'll take your job, we'll take your ability to, like, provide for your family, right? Which, like, it's like it's politics in such bad faith. Like, when you are trying to debate or discuss things, you're not trying, like, even though you might have, like, an agenda of who you're trying to represent and who you're trying to better in this outcome, it's just such bad faith to injure your opponent instead of trying to come to some sort of, like, agreement. And yeah, it's such a messed up part of politics right now.
Part of me believes that one of the biggest things that's killed politics is that, like, being in politics is a job. This is just, like, my shower thoughts or whatever, but, like, you know, there was a time once where the people who used to get into politics were the people that cared about how society was run and shit like that. And so they were just really passionate about it. They had a family, they had their own jobs that they had to do 9 to 5 or whatever else. But then they had a problem with something and they would want to, like, do something about it. They'd go into politics or whatever. But, like, now politicians make a shitload of money, probably more than they deserve, and you can go down the politics route to get into it. Like, I think about that sometimes and go, maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's just that there's no real passion in politics. Like, you can do politics for the money now, which part of me thinks is a stupid thing. But then again, there's a lot that goes into knowing how an economy runs and things like that, or how to budget all of your taxation money and things like that. That even just, like, really good business people don't quite understand. Because the difference between running a business and running a country is that a business is trying to make, like, a financial profit, whereas a government is just trying to make a more livable society.
It's trying to improve the quality of life of the people within it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, I don't think fundamentally the targets or the outcomes for a business is that much different to running a country. But I think the major difference between running a company versus running a country, besides from the scale difference, is that you have complete control of a company, in the sense that if people aren't doing what you're doing, you just fire them and you, like, get someone else, right? So you have complete control of how people do whatever, right? but you don't have full control in an economy. So you can do things that encourage people or incentivize people to do certain things by like having certain tax incentives or having increased taxes or whatever. But you can't ultimately like force those people to do what they do. Sometimes they might actually just like fight against whatever restrictions you might have. So it's like this one's getting super economical, right? So it's like, for example, like the government or the Reserve Bank of Australia can reduce interest rates, but and so the goal of reducing the interest rates is to make it cheaper for people to get home loans and to like increase demand for housing and so on, right? But just because they decrease interest rates, lower interest rates, doesn't mean that those savings are going to get passed on to the end consumers because they have to go through banks and so on, right? So governments fundamentally can't control how the people act, right? And like, yeah, other things like taxes, fundamentally they can't determine how people are going to act. Like social security in the form of like payments to like underprivileged families and so on, they're supposed to help like those families increase their standard of living to a more standard or a basic standard of living. But if the household, like family members, if the parents don't use that money wisely, if they use it to buy booze or cigarettes or go to fucking pokies, then ultimately it doesn't matter that the government is giving that each family an extra like $800 every month, like if the people don't use that correctly, right? And I guess with your experience working at a bar, you've probably seen some people irresponsibly use the pokey machines.
Well, I mean, people come in and you speak to them and you talk to them and they're sitting there, they're playing like $5 a spin or something. And they're just playing. And then you talk to them and I say, oh, did you work today? And they go, oh, no, I don't have a job. What are you doing here? What are you doing here? Go to fucking work, dude. Like, you think this is a job? Like, playing money on the pokies, gambling on the pokies? Like, yeah, like, there are some people out there who, like, play poker for a living. Like, their living is gambling. But fucking...
Hey, poker is not gambling, man.
Okay, but, like, people can make a living like that. But on the fucking pokies, dude, are you fucking for real? $5 a spin? Which is the most you can spend at any one time. Man.
You just drain your money so fast. Like $5. How long does a spin last? It's only like, what, 8 seconds or some shit, right?
It goes, hit the button, hit the button,
each one of those is...
hit the button, that's $5 every time.
Shit, man. You literally run through like $100 in like less than a minute, eh?
There are some people who try and be a bit dodgy. For the record, we don't let them do this in my pub, of course, because it's actually illegal. But there are people who will sit on one machine, hit this one at $5 a spin, and then they'll be leaning over, hitting the other one at $5 a spin. So there are people out there who literally play machines at $10 a spin. But then if you want to be extra dodgy...
How's that even dodgy, man?
No, you're not allowed to do that. It's illegal.
Whoa, shit.
If you know, some people do, and this you can get away with, is that you have like $5,000 or something. Give $1,000 to four of your friends before entering a pokey venue, and then all go in together, sit at a machine, hit them all at $5 a spin. You're hitting $25 like a push. Every second you're spending $25. Just think about that. Like, and people do that because they're chasing like the grand jackpot or something. Like there are stories about how where I used to work, this has happened before, where I was in it's a mostly Vietnamese community, I'll say. And so most of my customer base was Vietnamese. I guess the race doesn't really have anything to do with it, but there was this family of Vietnamese people that come in, and we had like 8 of the same machine, which all contribute towards a progressive jackpot, and it's up to something like $18,000. And so they'll all come in at the same night, and they'll line up one person per machine. They'll take them all. There'll be like 10 of them there. They'll take up all 8 machines, and they'll play. If someone needs to go to the toilet or get a drink, the other person will step in and they'll fuck off. And then there was this old, like, grandpa, Asian high roller grandpa, walking up and down, watching them all, talking to them all, and then just passing money over whenever they needed it. Like, this is... Like, some people do this shit in the pokies, but, like, they're my more, like, extreme stories about how people spend money at the pokies. But, like, yeah, people put a lot of money in there. And some of them don't have jobs. And some of them, like, especially on night shift, I predominantly do night shift. I'm going to my night shift in about 2 hours and 10 minutes, which goes from 9 o'clock at night all the way till about 6 in the morning. You kick everyone out at 4. But you get some of the roughest people ever coming in. The craziest people, the fucking cooked up on drugs. I mean, we had people doing cocaine in the smoker's room one night. And we have all the cameras. We have a big TV behind the counter. And we're watching them in this camera. And CCTV footage is kind of shit. So you can't really see 100% of what's going on there. But you could see them, like, on the table, you know, like, doing something. And so we're like, oh, fuck me. Because people will come into venues, try and find somewhere quiet and do their drug deals there. I mean, where I am, it's kind of like marijuana central. But there are a lot of people who are doing ice, and there are a lot of people who are doing cocaine and worse shit. So you come across them plenty. And all I got to do, I just walk out, I look at them and say... Sorry, boys. And they go, yep, all right, we're going. Like,
that's good. At least they don't give you a fucking fight, man. They know.
Yeah. Like, I don't come across a tremendous amount of fights. Like, I'm looking at maybe maybe one fight, maybe two every couple of months. So, like, they don't pop up that often. I've been in brawls at work. And there's a guy who is he's barred for life, but he still comes in every now and then. And every time he sees me, he just fucking loses it. Like, he just wants... I remember I walked up to him, and I saw him just sitting down, and he was, like, giving one of my female staff some bad lip. And so one of my staff called me out to help, and I seen him, and I was like, it's this fucking guy. And I just said, "Can't, Sam, get out." Like... Come on, Sam, you can't be here, you know that. Why? Why the fuck am I not allowed to be here? It's like, they never know. You can tell them 100 times. Like, because you get like this, Sam, because every time you come in, you're like fucking this. You're off your fucking face, bro. So, can't, Sam, you gotta go. And then thankfully, his missus normally comes in with him. But I don't know why she brings him in, because she's not barred. And she comes in and she never causes a problem, even though her entire front row of teeth are gone. So she's pretty dirty herself, but she'll get up and go, "Come on, Sam, let's go." And I'm like, "Cool, he's leave." Like, I don't have patience for him. I turn around, I walk away. He threw a fucking can at me. He threw a fucking full can of, like, Johnny Walker at me and hit me in the back. I'm like, yeah, all right, cool, dude. But yeah, that's what you would expect in a pokey venue. We kind of got a bit off topic from politics, but these are people that, like, they come out of prison, or they're on, like, you know, on the dole or whatever. Like, that's not everyone who's on the dole, mind you, but this is what some people are doing with their money. You know, they're using it to buy and sell drugs, or they're just dumping it into the pokies. And I mean, someone who's, like, cooked up on drugs all the time is not going to be making financially sound decisions anyway. So it's kind of like it's a self-feeding cycle when you do drugs and you're on the dole. It's just like, how are you ever going to get out of that? You kind of don't.
Yeah, man. So to bring it back to politics, yeah, that's why you can't really, like, necessarily... It's difficult to be a politician in the sense that, like, how do you do anything to help those people, right? There's like very little sort of widespread overarching sort of like politics or policies that you can put to just help this situation, man. People, like, if people don't want to help themselves, you really, really can't do much to help them, right?
In a lot of those circumstances, I think it's more up to like local communities, like councils, and sometimes the city, to implement certain like programs to help these people. I think some of the poorer areas, you talk about like in America, like you call them like the ghettos. Like sometimes I wonder, why don't we just why don't we clean up the ghettos? Why don't we put more money into these poorer areas and try and get more of these people off the streets and out of the drugs and shit like that? Why aren't we building more, emergency services and like hospitals or like schools or like just funding the schools better to begin with that already are there? Shit like that. Like I don't really know what goes into that sort of stuff, but
if you give them money, won't they just buy like rims and grills? And
no, you're not giving
bling bling.
It's not about giving individual people money. It's about spending money on like
the right support network.
Yeah. I guess like one of the issues you have there is like, let's say you build a fucking park. Well, now the park's going to be full of trash and graffitied, and they're going to like smash up the like kids' playground or shit like that, or they'll throw a rock through like the window of the hospital. I don't know. Like that might be a bit like like 1980s fucking like New York City kind of image in my head. Do you remember that aesthetic like from all those old movies, like this graffiti all down the trains and shit? Like that's been my image of New York for years, and it hasn't looked like that in almost 30.
Actually, I actually don't know what it actually looks like, but yeah, like talking about like graffiti and messing around and stuff, right? Like I remember when we were young, right? When you're a kid, yeah, we mess about and shit. Like, we'll do dumb things as a kid, but, like, dumb things might be, like, occasionally, I don't know, like, throw a rock or throw some eggs or throw something where you're not supposed to be throwing it or kicking some shit or whatever. But, like, I don't understand people who, like, proactively, like, vandalize and break shit, man. Like, messing around is messing around, but, like, to go around wanting to break shit, like, when you're messing around, you're not trying to, like, break shit. When you're messing around, you just want to see what the fuck happens when you did something, right? And then, like, in hindsight, it's actually, like, pretty obvious. Like, oh, yeah, no shit if you roll this dumpster down a hill, it's gonna fucking crash into that, right? but you just want to see it happen, right? But like, you do that for fun, but, like, these people that, like, yeah, these people that take it to that more degenerate level have no clue, man. But yeah, man, like, we all do dumb shit when we're young. Like, I'm just trying to segue this back to the article, man. Like, this kid writing some shit at 16, man. Like, who hasn't written or said some shit when they were that young that, like, would make them look bad? Like, everyone's done it, man. Everyone's done it. It's just that it's, like, this kid, like, fucked up because he put it in a fucking Google Doc, man.
Yeah, I mean, man, it's really gotta suck, like... So, we joke about how we want this podcast to get big and everything. We'd love for this podcast to get big. But, like, could you imagine, like, if people start going back and digging through some of our history? You know, like, before we had audiences, or even when we might have had a small audience and we said some dumb shit. Like, remember when you had to apologize to, like, that fucking caster guy or shit like that? Like, if people, like, started digging that up again or whatever, or... If people started leaking some of the files on my computer somehow, I sure hope that doesn't happen. But, like, because I got some choice stuff in there, which is mostly pornographic.
As long as it's legal, that's okay,
Oh, wait, fuck, I better not say that. That sounds like CP. That's not what I meant. I didn't mean that I have CP on my... I do not. Wow. I swear I don't.
Yeah, okay. Like, not to say that you do. No, what? moving on.
Go to the next topic.
Next topic. Okay. So in social media news, okay. So apparently, Chernobyl, is a documentary that HBO recently released, and it's like sort of documents like the tragedy in Chernobyl. So for people who don't know, Chernobyl was a nuclear meltdown in a nuclear reactor in Russia. It happened, I forget, long time ago. Not that long time ago. A couple of decades ago. So basically, one of the nuclear reactors melted down, it exploded, and then like the whole like area was just covered in radiation. Um, and like yeah, so basically, like a whole bunch of people died, and a whole bunch of people got leukemia and other like cancers and shit. So yeah, so that documentary was recently like put up on HBO. And people watched it, right? And so this has increased tourism to the area. So people, like, it's really weird. Like, people see something on like a TV show, and that just like inspires them to go check it out, right? So a whole bunch of people have been like going to Chernobyl as tourists, but then a lot of people have subsequently been taking, let's say, unclassy or untasteful social media pics. And so yeah, a whole bunch of Instagram influencers have been slammed for putting up booty pics in front of Chernobyl and shit. So yeah, so basically, like yeah, so I don't know. It seems like we have this like every year, man. Every year, there's like a couple of like people on social media who just untastily post some. Actually, I'm pretty sure this happens like every year. Every year on clockwork, there's gonna be some famous people that post like post a tasteless post online about some sort of like tragic or historical like location, right? So this year it's Chernobyl, right? Last year it was like Logan Paul in that suicide forest in Japan, right? And then I don't know if it was the year before, but like remember like Justin Bieber, he went to that Anne Frank museum or some shit or Auschwitz, and he was like, "Oh yeah, just visit." Yeah,
he
just
said she would have been a fucking believer. Oh,
yeah, I know, right?
Fuck. How?
See, like it like to be honest, it's like not even like it's not even like new news anymore. Anyways, it's just like when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, okay,
it happens so often.
So like, I can sort of see, so like this chick that like took a picture of her fucking like bare ass in Chernobyl. So I can kind of get a little bit like, I can kind of get a little bit like, oh, you know, my audience knows that I'm sexy and just want to see sexy pictures of me because I'm a sexy model and people like to look at my body. But this Chernobyl thing's really big right now and that's going to get me a lot of attention. So I'm going to go to Chernobyl and take some photos there. But then she took really sexy photos there because she had to take really sexy photos. You can't... So she's doing what her audience wants, but then also trying to hit like the big trending thing. But I don't think there was a moment there where she thought, hang on, maybe those two things don't quite overlap as well as I'd like them to. But it's like, I think like PewDiePie talked about it one time. I think it was after Logan Paul filmed The Dead Body. It's like, these are some of the things these fucking people on social media, these hoops people are trying to jump through to stay relevant and get attention. Like, at a certain point, like, I think these people have gone fucking crazy. Like, when does it ever cross your mind? Because, like, if you've seen, like, I watched the entire, like, Suicide Forest video.
Oh, you
like,
did?
He starts that video off by saying, this has never happened before. This is a monumental occasion that will be remembered all throughout YouTube history. It's a real ride. I hope you enjoy it. You're never going to see anything like this again. He was so fucking proud of what he made before he uploaded it. He thought this was going to be something that was talked about for years and years and years. And he was right, but he didn't realize that it wasn't like a good fucking thing. Like that they're only talking about it not because, wow, Logan Paul's really broken down some important barriers that we need to talk about, because he thought he was doing like suicide prevention a fucking a service. Everyone thinks he's a fucking like piece of shit now because of that. So it's like, this is like some of the shit that fucking like influencers and like famous YouTubers are trying to do to stay relevant. And so this chick probably had this like Logan Paul kind of crazy, where she was like, I'm gonna go to Chernobyl and take pictures of my fucking bare ass. And, you know, I'm really going to be making a difference here because people are going to see what's happening in Chernobyl and, like, how terrible that was and whatever the fuck. I'm going to bring light to this tragedy. Yeah, but your fucking ass is out, you dickhead. Like, I'm like, imagine if there was a fucking, like, pile of fucking skeleton bones next to her or something. It's just, like, the fucking juxtaposition of her bare fucking ass that is... I'll put it out there. Nice fucking booty. I liked it. And this terrible fucking tragedy, they just don't coincide at all. Like, are you stupid?
Yeah, right. Like, people who follow her clearly know what they're getting into, right? It's for the booty pics, okay? Like, I don't think the guys looking at her booty pics like, oh man, that booty's fine. Yeah. But
no one wants to see her, like,
I'm bored of seeing the same backgrounds, you know? Like, I wanted to mix it up a little bit, you know? Standing in front of a building, standing in front of a sunset. Nah, too boring. I've seen all of those, man. There's plenty of girls with booty pics in front of sunsets on the beach and shit. Nah, I want a different change of pace. Oh, let's get one in Chernobyl, man. It's like... People who care about stuff like that are the people who watch pornos for their storyline, man.
Hey, don't make fun of me.
Oh, man.
Yeah, anyway, that's just fucking crazy, man. I mean, talking about having your bare ass out, Dr. Disrespect got his Twitch channel banned very recently. Dude, Dr. Disrespect has been around for fucking, like, years. And I feel like not a lot of people actually really knew who he was until he cheated on his wife a couple years ago. Or it came out that he cheated on his wife. But he was like this weird guy that used to just pop up every now and then. Anyway, he's a big Twitch streamer now. Except not for the moment, because he can't fucking stream on Twitch. Because he walked into a bathroom with a camera on.
So, for people out there, he was doing a IRL stream. So, he was live streaming all the stuff happening at E3. So, he had a cameraman who was just live streaming, like, and they were just walking around and stuff. And so, yeah, at one point during the show, Dr. Disrespect goes into a public bathroom, and you could see other people inside the public restroom. So, I'm not sure if that's exactly when the stream got shut down. But definitely he definitely got a ban very shortly afterwards. Because yeah, it's a part of like terms of service as well as like Californian law that you can't like have a camera in a public restroom or like in a whole bunch of similar areas like that. So like what he did was just, like straight up illegal, man. Like he could literally go to court and face prosecution for it. But yeah, so his Twitch channel got banned. At this stage, people are thinking that they're probably just going to suspend his account, so they're probably going to reinstate him at some point in the near future because he's like such a big streamer and he brings a lot of money and so on, right? But like they kind of have to like give him a slap on the wrist at least for doing this, right?
Yeah, like they have to prepare some kind of punishment simply because it protects their image. So all they have to do is work out, all right, how long is a long enough ban that we can put this guy off our air so that it pleases the press, it pleases the people, so they go, yeah, he got punished, but then still bring him back because he's making us money.
Yeah, man. And it's like, and see, like when a lot of internet celebrities, when they make a mistake like this, they they immediately just like go on social media and do all their apologies. They they go online like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, what I did was stupid and dumb and all that sort of stuff. But if you look at the recent social media of Dr. Disrespect, he's just like rolling with it, man. So like Ninja gave him shit for it, and he's like talking shit to Ninja.
Yeah.
And yeah, apparently they made up a Dr. Disrespect bathroom emote, which is just like an emote of him like peeking over a bathroom stall. And they're getting ready to put that back onto his Twitch channel when he comes back. So yeah, so clearly he's not taking his ban very seriously. Which, like ultimately, like we're not sure of like whether he's doing it because of his character, because obviously like his character docs to disrespect like wouldn't give a shit, right? So we don't know whether this is just like his public persona not giving a shit, or if he honestly just doesn't give a shit, right?
I don't know. I mean, I don't, I don't know. I know that he's been around for a long time, like a really long time. He goes right back to those like Call of Duty commentary days. Like fuck, man, like when I first started uploading YouTube, once every 3 months. Um, and like he was on I remember he went to a fucking like an Avenged Sevenfold show, which has got like something like 8,000 people in the audience, upwards of that or some shit. He comes on stage, takes the mic from the lead singer's hand and goes, "Who here likes Call of Duty?"
What?
At a fucking like massive band show, like, so like he plays the role of like a conniving evil bad guy. I think really he just doesn't like see the problem of going into a bathroom with a character with the camera on. He just like doesn't care.
Yeah, like, see, like, definitely his character is so over the top, to the point, like, I think he's acting, but, like, I think part of me thinks he's just, like, rolling with it, but, like, so for certain other streamers, like, do you remember, that League of Legends streamer that kept getting banned, like, Tyler 1 or
Tyler
something?
won.
Yeah, right?
He got banned like every other week, and every time he streamed, he would be playing on a new League of Legends account because Riot would ban his account every time he would stream. They would see him online and they go, "No, we're gonna fucking ban him."
Right.
But then he posted this picture on Twitter, so he had a main account that he just played offline because he wasn't allowed to play on stream. So I think he used to just buy dummy accounts and play them. And then he had his main account on. So I remember he put up this Twitter picture and tweeted it at Riot. He had like the highest level of honor mastery. So if you get a lot of honors now, I know you haven't played in a long time. If you get a lot of honors, you get a higher tier of honor. So like the more people send you honors, the more rewards you get at the end of the year, and it comes up on your border before you go into game. It's a way of saying this person you're about to play with is either a good player or a nice guy or some shit like that. He had the highest level of honor on his offline account. He tweeted it at Riot in all caps. "Stop fucking banning me, please.
Oh my god.
And I remember when I saw it, I think I made a Victor show. I think I was making a Victor show at the time, and I just said, "Well, by your own system, he's a quality, good fucking player, non-toxic player. You can't ban him. He's got Honor 5. But yeah, like, I mean, Twitch never banned him permanently. I remember one of the streamers I watch, who I can't look. I remember he's a small streamer. He never gets more than like 1,000 viewers at a time, but he's called Sick Motion Lol, and he plays League of Legends. I remember he got banned once, and it was a really long ban, and it took him a really long time to get his account back because he was a small streamer. Twitch just banned him and didn't give a fuck, and all it was is that he was having an argument with someone in a league game, and he doesn't normally like talk back to people. He doesn't say any like bad shit on stream or anything like that. But he was having an argument with someone in game, and I think he called him like autistic or some shit like that. But they didn't give him like a proper reasoning for why he got banned, because he's a small guy and there's no like public outrage for it. They don't really have to like make any kind of public statement or anything like that, or say like he's being banned for this period of time. They just fucking straight out banned him, no warning. Didn't tell him if he'd be getting his account back or anything. He eventually got it back, but it was a pretty hard thing. I remember I was talking to him in a private conversation about it, because I'm one of his mods, and he's just like, "This is fucking bullshit." He's a little bit like us, in terms of like our social political views and shit like that. And he's like, "Oh my god, these fucking like these guys," and he was really like, I shouldn't say like what he was saying about Twitch, but like it wasn't overly positive things. He was just like, I can't believe people are so sensitive to this shit.
Yeah, man.
So like
But
they'll
like,
punish smaller guys way harder than they'll ever punish like Doctor Disrespect or like Tyler One. But on like the like him making a bathroom emote and not really taking his punishment seriously or anything like this. So I do the Victor character. So I'm just trying to put myself in his shoes a little bit here. Like if Victor did this, like would Victor come out and make a public apology? I don't really see the character of Victor being the type of guy that would do that sort of thing. So I think for like the integrity of just playing the character, Victor wouldn't apologize for that.
yeah, you got to play along.
Victor would just be like, I don't give a fucking shit. You know what? A bunch of dudes in there. We all got dicks. We don't care. You know, like that's something like Victor would say. I wouldn't say that. That's just I'm playing a character, right? So maybe like this guy probably feels a very similar way about that. Maybe. Like, he probably in his real life is like, oh, yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. But then, you know, to keep up with who the character is, I'm playing a character. Like, if I was writing a book about it, and if Victor did that in the book, Victor wouldn't apologize. Straight out, Victor wouldn't fucking apologize.
Yeah, right. So like the point I was trying to get at is that if Doctor Disrespect, like I could believe that Doctor Disrespect honestly felt like he screwed up and like he would like to take it back, right? But if Tyler O1 did exactly the same thing, I would have like no like doubt in my mind that he literally doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't feel any remorse if he did the same thing. So it's like
I don't know enough about Tyler to say. It's kind of like, do you know who Anything for Views is? He's like
no.
this fat Australian guy who sort of used to make videos with like Filthy Frank and iDubbbz and Max Mofo.
I've heard of those other guys, but
Okay,
I don't know the guy you're talking about.
Anything for Views. His name's Chad, but he started doing this. He started doing this thing where he would take Tinder dates out on live streams. So he would go out in public, live stream his dates with these Tinder girls, and then like he would like flirt with them, and he would say he would say some like, he's got no shame, so like he would ask girls like straight up if they like anal and shit like that, like he didn't care. But then like I remember hanging out with my friend Nicola, and like we go outside into the smoking room at like a club. I don't really go to the club. I don't talk to girls when I go out. But he's got no shame either. Like he was asking this, he was in the middle of this group of girls, and he goes to him, I got a question for you. What's your biggest sexual fantasy? And every single girl told him, didn't give a fuck. None of them were nervous to say. And I was just like, oh my god. So I guess chicks are cool with that kind of thing. But yeah, like his channel kept getting banned as well. So like realistically, you probably shouldn't just live stream events. I mean, you've got people around you in public. A lot of people don't want to be filmed to begin with and shit like that. And especially if you go into places like, there was a chick who, no joke, live streamed her gym workout session a little while back. She was in a gym and she was filming herself working out. And the people who worked there found her stream. Like, they thought she was dodgy, but then they found her stream and they're watching her work out on stream. And they come up to her and they said, we know you're streaming. We're not going to kick you out. We just want you to not work out in front of the mirror, because now people can be seen working out through your camera in the mirror. And she goes, oh, I'm not streaming. And they're like, we know you're streaming. She's like, no, I'm not streaming. I'm not streaming. You can't make me move. I'm just here to work out. And then like the manager chick came out and showed her stream and said, we can see that you're streaming right now. That's you. Oh no, I'm not streaming. I'm not streaming. And she got kicked out. So like, I don't know, like, it makes for like, maybe not like the chick working out in the gym. I wouldn't really care too much for that. But like, these going out in public things and filming out in public and live streaming out in public they all make for really good content, but they are just like controversies waiting to happen.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of legal considerations that you have to take into when you're doing these like IRL streams. Like, yeah, it definitely seems like it's like actually like kind of a growing trend over the last couple of years. It like just because the technology is like way more available and the internet's like way more available.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised in the future, like 5 years from now, or something, you just have a whole bunch of people just like streaming shit,
Well,
IRL.
it's becoming more and more possible that we'll have like a real life Truman Show.
Oh shit!
Yeah, that's kind of the way I look at it. And that's the way Woody's gamertag described it, because he I remember this is before you were actually allowed to like live stream anything that wasn't games on Twitch. There was this guy Woody's gamertag who was one of the big COD uploaders back in the day. He used to just like live stream his daily life. Like he owned a farm, and he'd like walk around his farm and like fuck around with his tractor, or he'd cook with his kids or something like that. He was literally like cutting his grass in one of these fucking videos, and he was going for he was just live streaming his entire day, and his Twitch got taken down just because he wasn't playing games. And he talked about it on YouTube. He goes, I didn't really know it was a problem, but I'm kind of liking this Truman Show-esque content anyway. So he kept uploading that, but to his YouTube, not onto Twitch. But now Twitch are allowing you to do that. Because, I mean, like, people are arguing, well, we can do a fucking podcast on Twitch. Even just look at podcasts. How many times podcasts get in trouble when they live stream? So a lot of podcasts don't go live anymore. Especially not on YouTube, with like how quickly you get demonetized, or if someone claims your content because like you showed someone's fucking video. That's happened to H3 Productions before. I mean, it can happen to anyone. But yeah, now Twitch are allowing you to like sit on camera and just eat dinner. Like that's a big thing on Twitch. People sitting in front of the camera and eating. And they're not even talking, they're just eating. Because, I don't know, people just like to fucking eat with them or something and pretend like there's another person in the room.
I don't understand all these things that people watch, man.
Yeah.
Like,
but anyway, it's like, I call it the Truman Show type content. So there's going to be a day where there's just some guy who goes, I'm just going to live stream my entire life all day, every day.
He has to look up when he's like banging his wife.
Yeah.
He can't ever look down at her.
I didn't think about it like that. I was just thinking about like when he goes to sleep and there's like all these people watching this guy fucking sleep for 8 hours. I remember in the Truman Show movie, you could tune in while he was asleep, and that's how he escaped. He pretended to be asleep. So people were watching him while he slept, and then he ran off.
Oh man, it'd be like, oh man, it'd be so like interesting if there was a stream like that like just never turned off, right? And then while he's just sleeping, just like random shit in his house like starts happening like at night. Imagine just like how freaked out people would be if like his son just walked in the room and just like stood there at just like 3 a.m. in the morning or some shit. That would freak people the fuck out, man. Like,
but it would, dude, you know, that'd be sick. Why doesn't that happen? Think of the fucking clips that would be on YouTube. It would be like, I promise you, if someone did this, it would be as big as Twitch Plays Pokemon. Like, people would be memeing it as much as that game, or that stream. Like,
oh, dude, oh man, like, so what you do, you plan out like a whole year's worth of shit with like your wife, have her, like, plan it all out with her. So like even though your live stream never turns off, it's like you're never involved in the plan. So people like don't think like anything's up, but just like, but your wife, but like you've planned it all out in advance. So your wife is the person just like in the background, like making things seem freaky and shit. And like, oh dude, it's like, that would freak people the fuck out, man. Just be all these people messaging him. It's like, holy shit, like check the stream. You should have seen what the fuck was happening last night, like 3 a.m. and shit. Oh shit.
Yeah,
okay.
Like think of the fucking highlight reels that would be on YouTube, man. It would be crazy. No, that would be fucking huge. I gotta leave pretty soon, so we better get through the next couple of topics if we wanted to. Apparently Fortnite is losing viewers.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
I I don't know if people are getting bored of it so much as that like Apex was on top for a little while, but then Apex dropped off as well. I think what's more likely happening is that now that the market's getting like really saturated, um, not everyone is on one game. Everyone's on a like there's a people on different games now, but Fortnite still has like the majority or whatever. It's like how, uh, like for every COD there was a Battlefield, for every league there was a Dota 2, shit like that.
Yeah, man. So like, I guess what. So like, being a first-person shooter isn't like, oh, technically Fortnite's a first-person shooter, right? But like, being a shooter isn't like particularly unique. But
Mm.
like the fact that they had they had like a good infrastructure to match make people into this like battle royale mode, and so everyone who might not like Fortnite but wanted to play battle royale had to jump into Fortnite, right?
Mm.
But there might be people who want like a different sort of feel of shooter, that they're more used to, whether it's like more of a COD shooter or whether it's like a different sort of shooter or whether it's like a Fallout sort of shooter, right?
Mm.
Um, and they want to play battle royale in their own thing. So like everything's got a battle royale mode now, man. So yeah, so
But I think
Fortnite has been losing steam.
there might also be a degree of like because out of 100 people who play the game, only one person can win each individual game. I just wonder about how many people like never actually win a battle royale match. And like do they like keep trying and trying and trying to win but they just never do so they give up? Because at least when you play like team deathmatch shooters or something like that, you're going to win like 50% of your games at least
Yeah, like
or
I,
something like that. But
well,
I don't
I've
know.
definitely met
The
a
game
lot of
it's also
gamers.
super memey right now that everything's got a battle royale mode. It's so memey right now.
I guess that could be part of it as well. But like, I've definitely met people who play video games for the enjoyment and the experience, and they don't mind if they like don't win. Like,
Mm.
I've definitely met people who are just like, oh yeah, I enjoyed the gameplay, and I like memeing around or trolling around or whatever. It's like I've never won, but like, who cares, right? So I could not be one of those people, man. If I wasn't like winning every now and then, at least I would just fucking get out of it. Like, I would,
Yes,
yeah,
that's
I
me as
couldn't handle
well.
just losing all the time.
Yeah.
Um,
No, that'd make me feel like a piece of shit, man. If I just lose and lose and lose and lose and lose, I'm just like, dude, I just like it's the most depressing feeling. I'm bad at everything. I don't want to live anymore. I just
yeah,
have to go home and cry.
yeah, right. But to
Um,
go back to like the meminess of Fortnite, I definitely like. So here's the thing: for when Fortnite was like one of the very few battle royale games, it was unique, man. People wanted to play it and just be trendy and hip and cool and whatever. But like now that every game's got a battle royale mode, it's no longer like kind of cool to do it because everyone's doing it, right?
pretty much. Yeah.
But yeah, so
Minecraft had the best battle royale. Just putting it out there, guys. Um,
um, but yeah, talking about Twitch stats. So basically, Fortnite was like on average number one for like six months, like
hmm,
straight, pretty much, right? Um, but then guess what?
overthrowing League of Legends.
You know what is currently number one on Twitch?
What is?
Take a guess, man. What is currently number one on Twitch?
Eating channels.
It is Team Fight Tactics.
Oh yeah,
I shit you not, man. Like, like yesterday, I
I
was
watched
on
a
like
video on it by the way.
yeah. I was just looking at the Twitch streams. I'm like, is Fortnite still losing viewers? And it's like I checked on Twitch and holy shit, Teamfight Tactics number one at like 180K. Yeah, good thing I still got my PBE account. So I literally like yesterday downloaded the PBE client and tried to log in again. And guess what? I could not log in because the PBE like server or realm is like literally overloaded. So I googled it up and yeah, like basically the PBE server like basically crashed because there's like so many people trying to log into PBE server to play Teamfight Tactics. I
Okay,
really want to
so
like play the game.
right
Um,
now, League of Legends has 86.9 thousand viewers, and Teamfight Tactics, which they've put in a separate category on Twitch now, which I like that they've done, because they are in a way very different games. Teamfight Tactics has 86,000, a whole 900 less viewers than League of Legends, which is number one. After that, it's Counter-Strike Go, which seems to be very consistent in its viewership over the last however many years it's been out. And then it's Just Chatting, so it's like what we're doing now. And then Fortnite. So Fortnite is currently fourth.
Wow. Okay. What's the number on Fortnite at the moment?
60,000 viewers, 7k less, almost 8k less than Just Chatting, and 21k less than Counter-Strike Go.
Yeah, that seems pretty low actually. But yeah. So Teamfight Tactics, I'm like super keen to play at. Even though like Dota Underlords is like out in public beta right now, like I haven't got around to playing it, like playing Dota Underlords yet. But like I said, man, there's no point in playing auto chess anymore, man. Like everyone's jumped off that. You got like two big boys getting into the industry, and they're gonna make their games. Like Drodo chess is fucked.
Yeah, no, I auto chess is pretty much dead as fuck. They should have sold out when they had the chance, man.
They did, man.
Oh, okay. Well,
they got money for selling those little candies.
Yeah, well, they should have just sold their like whole platform or something. But Dota 2 is only got about 35,000 viewers. I think I don't think Dota 2 has separated.
Yeah, it has. Underlords is a separate thing, but it's really low. Like I checked up early today, it was only like 3,500 viewers. Like
wow.
Underlords is really, really low in terms of viewership, compared to Teamfight Tactics.
Auto Chess itself has 2.8 thousand. I can't find Underlords anywhere.
Like the only reason why Underlords, like the only reason why Teamfight Tactics has such a high number is that you have
Underlords has 14,500.
Okay, so yeah,
it's just a little bit below World of Warcraft.
The only reason why Teamfight Tactics had like such a massive spike in viewership is because literally all the big Hearthstone streamers were streaming it. So you had Crip streaming it, you had Hafu streaming it, I think Trump was streaming it, Reckless was streaming it, Forzen was streaming it, so everyone was streaming it, man. Yeah, man. It kind of annoys me that like, okay, look, these people not involved in the League of Legends community at all, they get PBE accounts, man, just to stream their game.
Yeah, I have a PBE account, but I don't know if it still works. It's almost not worth it for us to play PBE though, because the connection on there is just so fucking horrendous.
It's not that much worse than trying to play Dota Auto Chess, man. I was playing on some like European servers on some of those games, man.
Well, that's the only thing that really annoyed me about Auto Chess. I thought the controls were a little bit jank, but that's just me, mostly just being so unfamiliar with Dota 2, because Dota 2 control-wise has such a polarizing feel compared to like League of Legends.
Yeah, man, it requires skill.
Sure.
Okay.
But
this coming from a guy playing Fire Emblem on easy mode. Man, I've been going hardcore on video games recently, man. Like
Teamfight Tactics looks really good.
Yeah,
it looks a lot of fun, and it looks like they've put a lot of effort into this, and it looks really surprisingly well polished. Like I thought when they announced it, they were only just a little bit into development. Like I thought it'd be another couple months before we saw anything. Nah, like a week and a half later, it's on the PBE and it looks fucking grouse.
To be honest, they had a couple of months to work on this, right? And they technically really haven't developed any new assets for it because like all the models and shit they've already got, right?
Yeah.
So they just had to make another game mode.
Yeah.
They just had to make another game mode. But yeah, like it's basically impossible to log into PBE, man. I've tried logging in multiple times yesterday and today, and every single time it's like login queue is like 1 hour 30 minutes or some shit.
Yeah.
It's impossible. I'm not even gonna like try until like maybe a couple of days later.
That's I might dude. League of Legends is fucking back on the map.
Nah, man. If I play, it's just like Teamfight Tactics. I won't play League of Legends at all. I hope they don't do that thing where it's just like a random side map that they like just kind of put in every couple of like weeks. Like I hope it's not like.
Yeah, I don't want it to be. I hate the rotating game modes. Because like we got that in place of like Dominion, and I fucking I don't know what you thought about Dominion. I adored Dominion. And when they brought back Dominion in the rotating game modes, they like put a lot of work into it and they revamped it, and it was I thought it was awesome. I thought it was really cool. Having said that, they haven't brought it back in fucking like forever. And realistically, if they could have made Dominion really good when it was a permanent game mode, they just never put any work into it. And all you need is like one guy. All you need is to like release a patch for it like once or twice a fucking year, just to keep it somewhat up to date. But they just put no effort into it. So I want Dominion back.
It's because they've got no one to copy. If there was someone else that made like a similar game mode and is successful, you bet League of Legends Riot Games would have done it. But because they had no one to copy, Riot Games can't do shit, man. They can only copy, man. They can just copy what other people's ideas are. Yeah. And they make it easier.
I need to clear out now. I'm very quickly running out of time.
Cool. Well, I guess that is pretty much it. That's pretty much most of our topics for the week. So, anything you want to say in closing?
Thanks for watching. Remember to show all of your friends and buy the merch we don't have.
Yeah, subscribe, share, like, comment. Let us know what we can do to make you want to watch more, because that's what we do. We're selling out, man. We need your viewership. Anything we can do.
We're selling out to you here.
Anything that we can do to get your viewership, let us know in the comments section. Even just message us, man. Just okay, find some way to message us on YouTube, and we will like do what you guys ask us.
I'll give you my phone number.
Yeah, man.
You can call me. We'll have a 10-minute chat.
Tell us what we can do to get your viewership, and we will do it. All right, like for the first lucky commenter ever. You have a great chance of us actually doing what you say. So, comment down below as soon as possible, because time is running out fast. We don't know if someone else might get in before you. But Super Sellout Podcast episode 2.
Thanks for watching.
Granche out.
Do it.
Let's just go straight into it. We'll just roll with it.
Yep.
It's not like anyone's really watching this shit anyways. This is all a learning experience.
Oh, fucking hell.